Alright, I've made a terrible decision today. I went back on Reddit. Specifically, Am I the A-hole? Which means I'm about to judge complete strangers' life choices like I have my life together. Which I absolutely do not. So, if you enjoy chaos, bad decisions, and me slowly losing faith in humanity, you're in the right place. Grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's find out. Who is the a-hole? Alright, this one already sounds messy. Am I the a-hole for wanting nothing to do with my awful co-worker? When you already know when someone uses the word awful, we're about to hear some workplace drama that HR definitely ignored. So let's get into it, because either this co-worker is genuinely unbearable or we've got an unreliable narrator on our hands. For reference, I, 26 female, have worked at this company for over 3 years now. Let me set some context first on my co-worker, Vanessa, 26 female. After a few months of working together, I realised that every time she speaks with me, something she said is a thinly veiled insult. An example of this was one day I needed help with a change in setting on my laptop, and Maxine, 26 female, our co-worker and my best friend outside of work, was helping me when Vanessa came over and butts in. Vanessa starts saying how annoying it is my laptop is set up this way, and saying how I'm so lucky she's willing to help me. I brush it off at the beginning, as frankly I needed help. Vanessa then starts asking if I used dry shampoo before coming to work. I responded with no. She then tells me she hates the way I smell, and one of the products I must have used reminds her of some hair care line that she overused previously. I chuckled and ignored it. She sits back down at her desk across the way and then proceeds to continue making loud comments to me and the rest of our co-workers sitting at our cubicles about how gross it smells, she can't stand it, etc. Everyone else was also confused and said they didn't smell anything. Another example is after a discussion of my background, saying everyone from one of the countries my family is from is full of beggars, and then used a slur to describe the people of that country. The list goes on, but it's either overt with the type of delivery that makes it sound joking or just underlying. So either way, if you make a fuss, it appears you're sensitive. Now, here's my dilemma. We go on a company trip every year for 2 days. Every trip, Vanessa glues herself to Maxine and I, and then makes it our fault if anything is not to her liking, and habitually does not take a hint when she's gone too far. On top of that, Vanessa was recently promoted and has been throwing that around in every interaction with those of our year, and has been lording over everyone. I just want to avoid this situation altogether, but know I will be around her unavoidably for at least 8 hours for 2 days straight in our training classes. I'm torn between finally sticking up for myself or just ignoring her and icing her out. I don't want to jeopardise the relationship that Maxine needs to keep with her since they work together often, and by being too confrontational, I'm worried it might take things harder for Maxine. On the other hand, I feel like I've let it go on too long and I'm now at a larger disadvantage since she has authority over me if we are ever on a team together, and I don't want her thinking she can use this promotion as another way to put me down and say horrible things. Okay, let's be real for a second. Work is not for a friendship club. It's not a social experiment. It's barely even a functioning environment half the time. You are not obliged to entertain someone who makes your life harder. Like professionalism? Yes. But access to me? Absolutely not. But, and this is important, if this 26 female is being cold to the point it's affecting teamwork or creating tension, then okay, maybe there's a slight issue. Because ignoring someone completely at work can get awkward. Fast. Like, now the whole office feels it. You walk in and it's, "Good morning, everyone," and not you. Alright, my verdict? Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, protecting your peace is free, and I recommend it. You don't have to like your co-workers. You just have to survive them. Alright, here we go again. Am I the a-hole for leaving before the dinner even started? Before it started? Nah, you don't just leave early for no reason. Something had to go very wrong. This already feels like one of those situations where someone says, "I just left," and then we find out there was a whole disaster leading up to it. Alright, let's read. I, 18 female, and my dad, 40 male, have had a very good relationship up until recently. We might not hang out all the time as we're both very busy adults, but we've made it a point to hang out at least once a week. We have dinner dates where we just eat good food, just the two of us, and just talk about our week. I have that designated day completely blocked off for the evening. I never make plans close to dinner time unless we ask each other first. This has worked out up until recently this past year. It started with small cancellations on both of our parts, usually because of work or school. Fairly rarely did we ever cancel and not reschedule. Here is where I might have been in the wrong. I call him on my school lunch break to confirm that we're still on for dinner, which he agreed, saying we could meet up after he got off work. We made concrete plans to be at the dinner place by 5:30ish, because I live a solid 30 minutes drive away, plus traffic. I told him I'd start heading that way around 4:45. I end up getting to the place around 5:45 because traffic ended up being worse than I thought. He texted me saying he would be leaving in 10 minutes and to go ahead and grab a seat. For context, his office is no more than a 6-minute drive. So I go and grab a seat and place our drink order for when he gets here. about 10 minutes goes by and he's not here yet. So I text him and ask him where he's at. At this point, my phone is on about 20%, so I turn it off to save the battery. I check back about 5 minutes later, and he said he was finishing up a few words with a co-worker and that he was heading that way. Another 10 to 15 minutes later, I check his location and he's still at work. Now, my phone's on a pretty low battery, and right about 6:20 it ended up dying. I asked if they had a charger, to which they didn't, but I had a charger in the car. I didn't want to make it seem as if I was going to walk away without paying the tab, so I accepted my phone's fate and left it dead, LOL. A few minutes goes by and the waiter asks if we want our usual, to which I say yes. Figured by the time he gets here, food will be fresh. The food gets here and he's still a no-show. And now people are giving me looks. I wait a bit before I start munching, but honestly, I had accepted the fact he wasn't going to show up. It's now 7 o'clock, so I'd been waiting a good hour, so I go ahead, grab the tab and just leave. As I'm walking to my car, Dad just pulls into the parking lot. He walks over acting like everything's fine, to which I say I already paid the tab and was about to leave. He looks sad and starts apologising, but at that point I didn't know what to say. I asked why he was so late, to which he replied saying he was talking with his co-worker. In the end, he went inside to grab a drink and I left to go home and sleep. Now I'm sitting in bed feeling terrible. Am I the a-hole? Alright, let's actually think about this. On one hand, yeah, leaving that early can look dramatic. Like, from the outside it's giving hi, hello, goodbye. But context matters. If the 18 female genuinely felt disrespected, uncomfortable or unwanted, you are not obliged to sit through an entire dinner just to be polite. This isn't a hostage situation. You can go home. The only way that would be wrong here is if they misunderstood everything and dipped over something small. Like, if someone said hey in the wrong tone and they were like, yeah, I'm leaving, then okay, maybe relax. But based on this, I'm going with not the a-hole. Because protecting your peace is always over forcing yourself through awkward, uncomfortable dinners. Especially if there's no food yet. Like, I'm not suffering on an empty stomach and emotionally. Absolutely not. Alright, I'm already comfortable. Am I the a-hole for wanting my dad to lock the bathroom door when he's in there? Why is this even a conversation? Like, I feel like this should just be common sense. Why are we debating basic bathroom etiquette in 2026? Alright, let's read because I'm slightly concerned. For context, I, 18 female, live with my mum and my dad, 56 male. At home, we have a dog that gets into absolutely everything he can find. If a trash can is at his height, he will rummage through it and spread stuff all over the floor, eating what he can. Because of this, the bathroom door is always shut to keep him out. As a result, to me, when I see the door closed and no light, I think that means there is nobody there. Unfortunately, my dad never locks the door. If he isn't in the living room, and I haven't recently heard a door shut, I think he's in his room or talking to my mum, so I don't bother knocking. Well, I have almost walked in on him on more than one occasion. I've asked him repeatedly to please start locking the door, and he bites back and says, "You should knock." Which, okay, I probably should. At the time, he very rarely knocks on the bathroom door every time it's shut, so why should I have to? I lock the bathroom door when I'm in there to prevent anyone from opening the door, because I believe that if I want privacy and I don't want anyone to have to see me, I should be the one to take the initiative to make sure that doesn't happen. I told him that, and he said the lock is more for me than him, which is why he makes some noise when the door opens. But if he doesn't want me to accidentally come in, then why not just lock the door? He has not been able to give me an actual reason and refuses to. He's more than willing to lock his bedroom door. He just doesn't care about the bathroom door. I'm getting really irritated, but I don't know if I'm in the wrong. He refuses to hear me out, and my mum even tried to say something, but he just said the same thing to her. He just doesn't give a shit. We're both being stubborn. I know that. I just feel like what I'm asking isn't unreasonable, especially when he doesn't have any kind of reason as to why he won't lock the door. And it's not like the lock is even one that requires twisting anyway. It's literally a button on the bathroom side of the door handle. I should add that I do knock on the bathroom door when the light is on and the door is shut, just not when the light is off. So, am I the a-hole for expecting that my dad locks the bathroom door when he goes in there? Alright, let's be serious for a second. This is not about being rude, controlling, or dramatic. This is about basic boundaries. If you live with other people, you lock the bathroom door. End of discussion. This isn't optional. This isn't a personality trait. This is standard procedure. Also, let's flip it. If 18 female was the only one not locking the door and the dad walked in, I guarantee it would suddenly be a problem. Funny how that works. The only tiny microscopic argument the dad has is if the lock was broken or something. But if it works, there is zero excuse. None. Yeah, this is easy. Not the a-hole. In fact, the dad is the only sane person in this situation. Lock the door. Protect everyone involved. Preserve the family dynamic. Alright, this title already feels chaotic. Am I the a-hole for saying F you to my dad after he offered me ice cream? Wait, you got offered ice cream and chose violence? Yeah, no, I need context immediately, because this could go either way. Either this person is wildly ungrateful, or this is one of those situations where the ice cream is not the real issue. Alright, let's read. I, 21 male, am overweight, like Homer Simpson fat, and the rest of my family very much isn't. I have been making a serious effort to lose weight through diet and exercise. I'm not on any GLPs yet. I live at home working a part-time job and going to college. Tonight, I came home after a full shift on my feet, and according to my watch, at least I got around 23,000 steps in. I had dinner earlier, and my dad, 50 male, came into the living room, invited my sister, 18 female, and me to walk to a nearby ice cream place. I declined. I'd already hit my activity for the day and was planning to go to the gym in the morning. I also pointed out that walking a mile just to eat ice cream was 1 step forward and 3 steps back. My dad is easily the biggest critic of my weight, which, whatever, I hate myself, I'll get over it. He then started throwing out whatever he could to get me to come, like bringing up blood sugar levels going down after meals, etc. How walking after meals was good for you, all of it. I gave in because he suggested everyone could skip the ice cream. So I was like, fine, I'll go, because I didn't want to be the reason nobody got to go. The entire walk there, he was chatting about what flavours everyone was getting. We arrived, and I hung back. He came to find me specifically to ask what I wanted. I said nothing. He told me I'd earned it with my 20k steps. I said no and went outside to wait. They came out. My mum offered me a bite. I said no thanks. My dad then pushed just one bite, and I snapped and quite loudly told him, F you. There were kids nearby, I hadn't noticed. I then, at this point, super fed up, went on a kinda long rant about how he was sabotaging me every step of the way. Now, my family is saying I acted hysterically and was being an a-hole, and they are saying I should apologise. For those saying I might give myself an eating disorder, the ice cream just wasn't in my calorie budget, nor was it cheat day. I had known I could have skipped lunch. Also, if rules are meant to be broken, what would have stopped me from having a second or third bite or taking everyone's leftovers? I have a problem with overeating, and somehow everyone having one bite is supposed to make me not just crave ice cream even more than I did. Alright, let's break this down. On one hand, if the dad was ignoring the 21 male's feelings and trying to smooth things over without actually communicating, that's frustrating. Don't just hand me ice cream and think that fixes everything. This is not a cartoon. But saying F you to your dad over it, that's where you lost me. Because now this situation isn't about the original problem anymore. It's about what you said. And that's hard to come back from. There were definitely better ways to handle that. Like, I don't want ice cream. I want to talk about what just happened. Boom. Mature, effective, no family damage. So, my verdict? Yeah, you're kind of the a-hole. Not for being upset. That part is valid. But for how you handled it. We don't go from emotional frustration straight to F you, unless we're trying to start a war. Okay, I genuinely needed a break from humanity after that. Like, I don't know whether to laugh, be concerned, or just sit in silence for a minute and rethink everything I just read. Let me know in the comments, who do you think was the worst one today? Because honestly, I'm still processing. Every time I think I've made up my mind, I remember another detail and I'm like, wait, no, actually they are worse. Also, if you've ever been in a situation like any of these, I'm so sorry. And if you haven't, just know your time might be coming. Stay alert. If you enjoyed me reacting to these absolute disasters, make sure to like the video. It really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I've got plenty more of chaotic Reddit stories. If there's a specific type of story you want me to react to, like family drama, relationship chaos, workplace nightmares, drop that in the comments too. I'll go digging so you don't have to. Thanks for watching. Seriously, I appreciate you being here and suffering through these stories with me. And remember, no matter how bad your day is, no matter how awkward your last conversation was, no matter how messy your life feels right now, at least you didn't end up on Reddit, getting judged by millions of people, including me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.